Thank you all for coming today on such a cold day. Hi, Lou. My name is Deb Phillips, and I'm the Director of Chamber and Tourism for Hardin County Chamber and Business Alliance. And we're doing the America 250 kickoff and the celebration for the whole 12 months of 2026 with Jennifer Almer, who is the new Director of our Hardin County Historical Museums, the museum home up here, and also out at the fairgrounds. Also with the commissioners. So thank you to all involved and who has helped get this going for today and for the year. I just want to tell you a little bit about what we are going to be doing in 2026. So of course today is our kickoff. And in February we're following a theme that America 250 Committee in Ohio set up that you could either choose to use it in your county or not. So we chose to go ahead and follow the baseline that they gave us, which is in February, we're going to be doing innovations, inventions, business, and work. So anything that has to do with that is Ohio-based or a Hardin County especially. And in March will be music, entertainment, and movies. So Ohio Goes to the Movies will be kicking off. We have 3 movie theaters. We're blessed to have 3 movie theaters in Hardin County. We have the Ada Theater, we have the Kenton 3 Theater, and we also have the drive-in north of town on 68. So those 3 movie theaters will be doing an Ohio-based movie, we hope in March, but they are also already have their dates set for September to be doing that. In April is transportation, planes, trains, and automobiles, and we are blessed to have excuse me, the Ada Depot that also has a caboose. Hardin County and Kenton was the caboose capital of the world with what was the caboose company called again? International Car Company. And we have a caboose here now in Kenton out at the Hardin County Fairgrounds. In May is going to be arts, culture, and literature. So anything that has to do with those 3 things in Hardin County. That will include, we hope, all of our villages as well. In June will be natural resources, so we want to encourage everybody to get out and see all the natural resources that Hardin County has. For example, Lawrence Woods, the Andreoff Wildlife Reservation that we have up near Forest. We also have Franz Lake in Salisbury Park, and we have the Green Monster Walk at ONU in Ada. July will be the Ohio State Homecoming and Picnic, so we'll be doing a big celebration at the fairgrounds for the 4th of July, and the other villages will also be doing fun things. August and September are supposed to be fair and then sports, but we are flip-flopping it because our fair is in September. So we're going to do our sports theme in August, which we are hoping that we will be able to do something at the Ray Brown Park. We have that planned, and I'll fill you in on that as we get closer. So we're sure that we're going to be able to do it, but we're quite excited to be able to do that with that park. And then in September, we will be doing fairs. And we're going to be doing a time capsule. And I thought this was so cool. I learned that through being part of Ohio Tourism Association with being the tourism director, that the Franklin County Fairgrounds, so our state fairgrounds, they buried a capsule in 1976 for the bicentennial, and they dug it up this past 2 weeks and looked inside to see what was put in it from 50 years ago. And so we are planning to do a times capsule in 2026 in September at the fair and put things in it from the community and open it up again in 50 years. So I most likely will not be here, so you youngins, I hope that you will join in on opening that time capsule in 50 years when they do that. And then in October, we'll be doing agriculture and food. So we are a very rural and agricultural county, so we're excited about that. November will be veterans and first responders. And December will be the future of Ohio. So we want to be celebrating things that we hope will be happening in the future for Ohio and for Hardin County. Then after I am done speaking here, we're going to be having Tim Stryker, who is one of our county commissioners, come up here and speak about the history of Hardin County and the history of the beautiful building that you guys are in. And then we'll be having the great-great-granddaughter of Jacob Parrott, Melinda Bovey, who will be coming up here and speaking, and she brought along with her husband, Rick. So we very much appreciate the 2 of you for coming and taking the time to be here with us today. And then after Melinda speaks, we have a little refreshment over here for you of cookies and some water. And then we will be dismissing to do part of a tour of the beautiful courthouse that you're now sitting in. So with that being said, Tim Stryker, would you please come up here and give us some information?
Forgot someone I know. Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm Tim Stryker, one of the commissioners. There's one of the other commissioners is Fred Rush, and Joe Sherman, I think, is in the basement doing the third floor tours. He's showing the pictures and everything down there. So we have a super opportunity here of the medals of Jacob Parrott and 𝗛𝗺𝗶𝗰 are in this case. So if you get a chance, Jacob Parrott's canteen that he carried and his pocket Bible are down here. So some of the artifacts the museum has have a pretty nice museum. So I was asked to put together a quick speech of what all we were doing and some of the things in Hardin County. So here we go. I had a little help of AI. If you've never tried that, it's a great way to do a speech. So I kind of entered in different events and places, and this is what AI kicked out and said, so I'm going to give it to you. So, the spirit of Hardin, 250 years of the American story, standing on historic ground. Friends, neighbors, and fellow citizens of Hardin County, we stand today in the Metz Hall, our historic courthouse, the literal and symbolic heart of our community. We gather here on this January day in 2026. We're joining a chorus of voices across all 88 Ohio counties and 50 states to kick off the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. 250 years of a milestone of endurance, but the spirit of 76 isn't just found in Philadelphia. It was etched in the very soil of Hardin County. It is found in our namesakes, John Hardin, a continental soldier who fought for the dreams of a new nation. It's found in the legends of Simon Kenton, the frontiersman whose name graces our county seat. A man such a legendary grit, he survived the gauntlet and lived to see the wild frontier become home. The legacy of Jacob Parrott, valor's first son. When we speak of the American grit, we must speak of Hardin County's own Lieutenant Jacob Parrott. In 1862, the young 19-year-old Parrott volunteered for a mission so dangerous it seemed like a suicide pact, and is better known as the Great Locomotive Chase today during the Civil War. He went 200 miles behind enemy lines, which would be the Confederate, and to hijack the locomotive, the General, in a daring attempt to cripple the Confederate supply lines. Captured and tortured, beaten over 100 times to force him to betray his commanders, he remained silent. For this extraordinary heroism, on March 25th, 1863, Jacob Parrott became the very first recipient of the Medal of Honor in the history of the United States military. He just didn't receive a medal, he defined what it meant to be a hero for every generation to follow. He lived out his days here in Kenton, and he rests today in Grove Cemetery, a reminder that the highest honors of the nation can often belong to the humble neighbors living right beside us. But Jacob Parrott isn't the only sentinel of valor. Resting near him is 𝗛𝗺𝗶𝗰𝗍, another Medal of Honor recipient, who aged 16 during the Civil War, charged into the smoke battle with an empty gun and captured two snipers out of a tree. He led them back across the battlefield with an empty gun, and they didn't know that. So that's one that he ended up getting the Medal of Honor. He was on the Eastern campaign, where 𝗔𝗺𝗃𝗂𝗶𝗰 was more of Marietta, Georgia campaign down in that area. So it gives you a little bit. Remember General Robinson, James S. Robinson, wounded at Gettysburg, led with courage that helped preserve the very Union we celebrated today. These men weren't distant figures. They were Hardin County farmers, shopkeepers, and friends. Land of many nations. As we look back 250 years, we must also look further back. Long before the first surveyor's stake was driven in this land, this land belonged to the Wadnot, Shawnee, and Delaware tribes. We honor the legacy of Chief Roundhead, whose village once was in this county, and we acknowledge the complex, often painful history of our shared origins. The present remains in the names of our towns and the curves in our river, a foundational part of Hardin County's story. The path to freedom. Our history is also a story of the pursuit of justice. In Mount Victory, Ohio, the Underground Railroad carved a path through the wilderness. Brave souls here risked everything that ensured that the promise of liberty for all wasn't just a phrase on parchment, but a reality that those fleeing of the chains of slavery. They turned their homes into havens and our county into a beacon on the road to freedom. Innovations and excellence from the fields and factories. Hardin County's story is one of innovation. Look at Ada, where Ohio Northern University has been a pillar of education since 1871. And think of the Wilson football factory. Soon, Super Bowl, every single ball kicked on the Super Bowl Sunday is born right here in Hardin County. We celebrate the legendary Gray Brown from Alger, the star of the Negro Leagues, a Hall of Famer who pitched his way to greatness when the doors of the Major League were still closed to him. The 72% winning percentage remains one of the highest in baseball history, a testament to the Hardin County excellence that refused to be sidelined. Frontiers and forts. We remember the rugged beginnings, Hall's Trail, and the walls of Fort MacArthur, where soldiers and settlers stood guard over the frontier during the War of 1812. These early outposts were the seeds of the communities that we call home today. As we kick off the 250 years, let us look at the courthouse and remember that we are the stewards of this legacy. From the bravery of 𝗔𝗺𝗃𝗂𝗶𝗰 to the craftsmen at the Wilson factory, Hardin County has always punched above its weight in the American history. Let this year be more of a look back than a step forward. Let us carry the spirit of '76 and the spirit of Hardin into the next 250 years. Happy birthday, America, and God bless Hardin County. I wanted to put in a couple side notes, if I may. Hardin County has been blessed with, I also Googled, but there's 5 generals that have served in Hardin County or from Hardin County, and that's kind of unusual for such a small county. I did mention General Robinson. I wanted to mention General Mike Murray, John Mike Murray. He was a native here in Hardin County, graduated 78, 9, I don't know. I played football with him. I was a senior and I thought he was Hometown roots are Eric Kenton, graduated, there it is, 78. And he was recently inducted into the Kenton City School alumni. His military career, he started at Ohio State University in 1982. He was commissioned as an infantry officer. He rose to the rank of 4-star general. And here's another first for Hardin County. He was the first commanding general of the U.S. Army Futures Command. And I think that's what this flag represents. So if you have never seen that flag, I think they all went out about the time he was doing it. So he recently retired December 2021 after nearly 40 years of service. So I just wanted to throw that in there. So, a couple other generals were General Moses Walker, General Charles Griffith, and General, yeah, that's it. So I think there was like 1,600 enlisted soldiers came from Hardin County and fought the Civil War. So it was a high number, so thanks.
Thank you, Tim. And also about General John Michael Murray.
Yes.
There are 263 generals since George Washington. And John Michael Murray is one of them, and I just find that phenomenal that since George Washington, we've only had 263, and we had 5.
4-star.
What?
4-star, General.
4-star, thank you.
Yes.
And he is one of them, so that's pretty awesome to be. We don't have that many people in Hardin County, and we're very rural, and I think that's something that we should all be very proud of. So with that, I will now introduce to you Melinda Bovey, who, again, this is the great-great-granddaughter of Jacob Parrott, and she's going to share some things with us and speak. Thank you, Melinda.
You all came for the cookies, right?
Yeah, I did.
I attend a church and we always have Donut Sunday, one day a month I believe it is, and we have a gentleman that always gets to taste test the donuts, so thank you for taste testing the cookies today. I'm Melinda Smith Bovey. First of all, I'm not a public speaker, so I'll tell you that. My dad ended up going on vacation and he says, hey, can you go up and talk to Jennifer and see what she needs, and this is where I'm at. But I'd like to thank you for asking me to share in the 250 celebration of America and to speak about my great-great-grandfather, Jacob Parrott. He was a recipient of the 1st Congressional Medal of Honor. I am also family of Wilson Brown, who was also a Congressional Medal of Honor, by my grandmother, Florence Parrott Smith, which is also Parrott. They were both involved in the Andrews Raiders. Growing up, I can remember my parents and grandparents visiting my Uncle Joe Parrott, and Aunt Edna. Uncle Joe got the medal and case out and showed it to us. This was the first medal Jacob Parrott had received. Uncle Joe told us the story about Jacob, who had lost both of his parents before going into infantry. Later in my life, I was told he did not win the medal like he had applied for it or winning class president. He received the medal along with his living comrades from President Lincoln and Secretary of War Stanton. Jacob Parrott was in Company K, 33rd Ohio Volunteer Union Infantry in the late 1861, early 62. The people of Hardin County have heard the story of the Andrews Raid, where the general was captured, led by James Andrews, along with 20 U.S. soldiers, 2 of which were civilians, at Big Shanty, which is now Kennesaw, Georgia, and traveled north, tearing down telegraph lines and destroying bridges between Chattanooga and Atlanta. In 2024, my father, Gordon Smith, his friend, my cousin, and I were invited to Chattanooga to the dedication of the Shadrach George Wilson Memorial of Honor grave markers. They had received their medals prior on July 4th that year. And I believe they were the last of the Andrews Raiders to receive their medals. There we loaded a bus to Atlanta, Georgia, where we had the privilege to see the rebuild of the train, the Texas, at the Atlanta History Museum. As the story goes, the Texas, during the Great Locomotive Chase, was running in reverse direction, chasing the stolen general and its crew. The general made it through Tunnel Hill to its final stopping point after running out of fuel, wood fuel. They would run on wood, just outside of Ringgold. The train was there abandoned. A group of 7 men from Ohio were captured and were hung in Atlanta, Georgia. Unfortunately, on our bus trip, we did not get to visit this site due to traffic in downtown Atlanta. To make the story short, so you don't have to sit here all day, the other men were eventually captured and moved to different jail cell locations before being moved to Washington, D.C. As they were moved to Washington, they were later named as lieutenants. Jacob Parrott received the Congressional Medal of Honor on March 25th, 1863. This day is now called National Medal of Honor Day. Jacob received the first Medal of Honor by President Lincoln and Secretary of War Edwin Stanton. Jacob attended several reunions of the Andrews Raiders later in life, and you can see pictures of those throughout history books. Jacob eventually returned home to Kenton, where he worked as a carpenter until his passing in 1908. My father remembers he died on the street of Kenton in Bug Township while heading home from work. He is buried, as previously said, in Grove Cemetery, just at the edge of Kenton. And I can remember years ago standing in front of the cemetery with our family as my grandmother, Florence Parrott Smith, was given a plaque in memory of Jacob Parrott. I would like to thank the people of Kenton and Hardin County for keeping this memory alive. I would also like to thank Hardin County History Museum, where one of Jacob Parrott's medal resides, as it is here. They also have allowed families several times to take the medal to be presented honorably at other Medal of Honor functions, such as the one in Atlanta that day. Jacob Parrott's first medal was originally placed in the rotunda of the United States Capitol, but during the Capitol reconstruction, it was moved to West Point, New York, where it stays now. I would like to thank you again for allowing me this privilege to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you.
So now will be our refreshment time, where you can come up and get a cookie and a bottle of water. And we're going to be doing some tours around the courthouse. Fred has agreed to be in the chambers and show you the chambers where the commissioners meet. Tim is going to be out in the main lobby here, and if you want to get a tour with him to walk around the courthouse, he's more than willing to do that with you. And then Joe Sherman, like Tim had said earlier, will be in the basement. He's going to be with the new metal detector system and explain that to anybody who may have interest in that. And then there are also pictures on the wall down in the basement on the east wall that show the old courthouses that have stood or been in the same place and the construction of the building that we're currently in. So with that being said, again, thank you all very much for coming. We appreciate this, and we look forward to seeing you at more things that we do throughout the year of 2026.